Welcome to Atlantic Television Network Society Watch. This is a program where we ventilate societal issues, give them aggregate attention with a view to propose solutions that will benefit humanity. On today's Society Watch, we'll be looking at numbers of issues. From Rivers State, one vigilante policeman dies in LGA crisis. Enugu State, 237,795 households get family planning services. Economic crisis, Nigerians not alone in poverty. That's from President Tinubu. Amazing. On health, avoid storing cooked food over 3 days. That's from NAFDAC. On child abuse, marking children tribal marks without consent. Evil. That's from Toke Makinwa. These are the issues we'll be discussing today. When we return from this short break, I will introduce my guest for today's story. Stay with us.
Jack us up and down like this now.
I hope nobody carry belle.
Why you ask? Oh?
Because this road where they see so it no guarantee safe delivery.
We just dey vote for government, but we not get good governance.
At all.
Roads so e no dey, light o usa, the infrastructure nko e come turn to be forbidden fruit for the city.
Corruption spoil everything. Hello?
Hello, madam. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Mrs. Ayeni. I am calling from the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs.
Okay. Okay, I've been expecting your call.
Madam, remove this your phone from loudspeaker.
No vex. Now my phone be like that. Hello?
Are you there?
I hear, I'm hearing you.
Yes. We saw a copy of your invoice for computers, printers, and laptops.
Yes. Are you working on them now?
Ma, the prices you quoted are way too high now.
Madam, sorry, please don't cost.
We found the laptop you said is 1.8 million naira for 600,000 naira.
Hello?
Now my body network there.
I can't hear you. Network is bad.
Madam, we can hear you. Continue.
Hello, I can't hear you. I will call you back.
Their behavior no good now.
Madam, now this kind behavior they kill our country. You suppose do things differently, make Nigeria for better.
Corruption not in my country. This message is brought to you by the Akin Fadehi Foundation, the Marketer Foundation,
and with broadcast support from Atlantic Television Network.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all the sport news.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Society Watch on Atlantic Television Network. And joining me on today's conversation is a public affairs analyst, Wealth Oduyemi.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure being here today.
All right, let's dive straight into our story for today from Rivers State. In Rivers State, police confirmed the date of policeman and a vigilante member during a protest at the Emoha Local Government Area Council Secretariat. The clash occurred between supporters of two political factions over the tenure of local government council chairmen. Following the incidents, police have taken control of the 23 council secretariats and key government facilities to prevent further violence. An investigation is underway and the police have urged residents to remain law-abiding while assuring them of their safety. Mr. Weld, you are aware, I don't know if you're aware of what happened yesterday in Rivers State. Coming to the end, the governor announced the end of the local government chairman's tenure in Rivers State, and the protesters already took over the local government's council secretariat. And it was a lot of protests yesterday. Some persons posted on Facebook that policemen were shooting at them. And you could see that they also destroyed some statues and some things, some facilities, which led to the loss of lives of two persons, a policeman and a vigilante. And of course, they're saying that everything is, everyone should be law-abiding as everything is being protected. So what do you think about
the people of Rivers State and the well-meaning people of Rivers State, you know, will have normalcy and dividends of democracy. Of course, nobody will want to subscribe to acts of violence. It should be avoided, and of course, what we are seeing is a reflection when people tend to, you know, get to a point of enough is enough. And then you also want to see that those who probably are advocating that their tenure is not over. Well, once upon a time, a few years as volatile, an environment that is volatile, but even at that, the government has shown capacity that is in charge.
But what do you think about the people's action, that when something of this nature comes, or the first thing that comes into their mind is carrying weapon, destruction?
You know, it's the politics played here in Rivers State is the one that has some tones of violence, and if we cast back our mind as to some of our experience in 2015, 2019, it's telling us that if you must come to this terrain, or how politics is played here, we are still evolving, and a whole lot of maturity still, you know, is a bit far away from the state actors or the political players in this terrain. But the point is that there are templates upon which is a model for the rest of us too, as how it is played, and also in some Sena clients. The point is that I will not subscribe to violence, and of course what this program also stands for is that we give the right counsel and advice to our young minds. Of course, what do you expect when the people's will have been subverted, people are not, you know, are not provided jobs and alternatives. You want to see that the people will probably get to a point where, whether wrongfully or rightly, wants to upheld opinion, especially when the courts are yet undecided as to, you know, in some fora, some people believe that for as long as the court decide who stays in the office, it's just telling us that we have not gotten it right democratically, because apparently the democratic principle tends to give power to the people, and when the people don't seem to have a say, that it's only those who probably have certain might and certain will and caprices, and they force their will on the people. You tend to see some of these things that it's not about the interest of the state or its people, it's about control and power.
Okay.
So want to imagine that people will shy away from violence and allow the laws to play. The police also has to be commended in the wake of height provocation. The police have, you know,
project empowering communities and enhancing access to quality health care, particularly in family planning. Wow, this is amazing one from Enugu State. Mr. Waltz, what do you think about it? This is also another way of, I mean, is it not a way of controlling population?
Well, it's a very laudable one because going down, you also get to see that it's a collaborative initiative supported by the World Organization as to bringing homemade solutions 2021, and I think the dissertation meeting was premised to do a scorecard as to the progress the project has actually, achieved in the last couple of years since its inception. And the statistics is very, very welcoming. And the program is still in full gear to ensure that other people supposed to, other states and states within the region of the south of the country should also, do more to ensure that its population is well informed.
Remarks accusing him of making excuses and worsening poverty. They emphasize that Tinubu's administration should focus on reducing poverty and not exacerbating it. The Labour parties condemned the administration's spending on luxuries amidst widespread suffering, while Atiku criticized the government's handling of economic policies and lack of transparency. Tinubu also calls for the change in the rent-seeking mindset and highlights the importance of good infrastructure and security for economic progress. The Senate President Godswill Akpabio expressed support for Tinubu's leadership and mentioned upcoming legislative effort to improve the business environment. Mr. Wells, President Bola Tinubu said Nigerians are not alone in this economic crisis, in this suffering. I'm meant to ask, how are they part of us? Is it that they actually know what is going on?
Well, the narrative around that report is that the economic crunch is a global phenomenon, and it is not peculiar with Nigeria. I think that's the point to which the president is trying to place his analogy, and that implying that the solution has to be that some government policies that could seems to be very insensitive by the all well-meaning persons of goodwill would not want to, support the position of governance or government with regards to some of the policy rolled out to take us to the glory days, because temporarily it may breed some level of discomfort, which of course you and I can attest to, and that the degree of this dysfunction, the discomfort is intense, is intensified daily, and it appears that would there be any light at the end of the tunnel. So, but there again, the concluding part, which of course the president make emphasis on, is that we cannot, but we can just, we should stop, our disease from lying to ourselves, that if we desired a prosperous nation, a better working environment for all, and of course security for lives and property, then there are some fundamentals that we must embrace, which of course will come along with certain pain. But there again, you want to look at, we'll be enduring this pain even right from the last regime, because some of the president's spokesperson will tell you that the current challenge in Nigeria reality is not caused by this administration, that it was as a result of government failing in its responsibility and duty over the years, and then it has now snowballed into a very chunk problem that's technically or as a way is overwhelming the present government of the day. My concern is that whether it is an article that is there or an OB that is there, what we're experiencing now, we will still experience, maybe not as the degree as to what we are seeing, because I also want to believe that as soon as you are seeing some person crying, woe, some persons are also, having a respite, considering how some of this policy of government, has also affected them positively, whether in the long run or the short run. So if it is OB that is there or article that is there, I for one, am not of the opinion that things we tell on the citizenry. Well, and the citizenry, in its own part, owe it a duty to hold government accountable. Because after going through all of this, another season of election will come, and then the same person complaining hardship and all pain will still say, oh yeah, will you allow them? No, etc., etc. And then you see that the government will make a return and do it second time. So it's really unfortunate, and the position to this opposition, of course, you will commend them because they are playing their role as an opposition, even if the policy in the long run will yield results.
Peter Obi said, let's look at that, telling the president not to look at the luxury part of life, but rather they should look into economy. You are aware that because of the insecurity in the country, not just in Nigeria though, the president, they thought of getting a private jet in course of their traveling to avoid the unforeseen circumstances. So don't you think that that is one thing that they are equally talking about, because we just want to drive on the road and be comfortable. We want to enter the public planes and be comfortable. But they are talking about private jets in the midst of this economic crisis. And they are saying it's not just Nigerians. According to you, that it's not just Nigerians that are suffering, other people are. Are we supposed to be leveraging? Are we supposed to be learning from the poor state of other countries? Or are we supposed to learn from the developed countries? Why can't we compare ourselves with developed countries? Why are we looking at, because things are happening, okay, we are not alone. So because others are into this with us, we should continue to remain like this.
Okay, so if you look at the position of things and happenings in Nigeria, you want to buy the narrative that you are painting, and it's within your right to do that, because we need to check whether we are making progress or we are just moving, having a mindset that we are making progress, and by the time you do a recap of your activities over a period of time, you will see that whether you have been lying to yourself or whether you have actually been giving the deliverables that will bring about accolades and their appreciation. Now, the angle I want to but they tell their representative that, look, this is what we want, and that's no reason why we send you there. That's all the narrative I'm painting is in an environment where the system is allowed to run.
But Mr. Wells,
but in this space,
but this is what we are saying now. When we're talking about, remember that the issue of minimum wage is still one side, which has not yet been concluded, and now the president is not pressing on that. The issue of insecurity is one side; they're not pressing on that. But we are talking about the minimum wage first to start with, and instead of that, they were able to press for the private jets. Are you understanding? It is a different thing if the governor or the president has gone to press on this, that this is what I want. Okay, let it be that the House of Assembly accepts or not. But rather, instead of talking about the minimum wage, how is it going? Because this is where Nigerians can actually start with. But instead, it was a private jet. So don't you think that the president is not with us? We are not talking about other countries, it's Nigerians. So if he's saying that you are not alone in this, approximately, I suppose he's saying that I am into this too, but it's not there.
At the reality is that what informs the request for the private jets? 2 weeks ago, there were some incidences that happened that involves the president coming into the country, and it was not announced.
Okay.
Are you aware that the presidential fleet, particularly the two planes that service the president and the vice president, were not in good shape? And then we are talking about one of the most revered office in the land.
So do they really need to go outside? What are they doing outside country? They're saying that Nigerians, we need to put heads together and hands together to make sure that we work out our salvation. Then I am there saying that foreign aids is not going to help our situation. So what are they traveling up and down for?
So the point is that the question you want to major on will be, are some of these trips necessary? Yes, there are. There are, you know, pre-planned trips that we further enhance, considering the fact that this is their first year in office and they have to, you know, put up a platform where they can actually synergize with counterparts and friends of the nation who probably will also help roll out policies that will help enhance Nigeria. I think in one of the reports we have that the World Bank intend to help Nigeria. I think we will have $15 billion in relation with agro development projects and some other projects that will help cushion down the effect of the current hardship that is, bedeviling the nation. You see some of these collaborations or some of these engagements and promises actualization cannot just come on something to which you probably want to do on the phone. There are other interests that you need to be on ground. There are some of our persons, experts who are also on ground, who probably will also be on ground to help you navigate some of this, engagement. And also, you also have world leaders meetings, whether within the region, in Africa or outside Africa. There are some treaties to which Nigeria is a signatory to which we also need to be on ground. If the president cannot go, he can deputize his vice president. The vice president can also go. But imagine that there were rumors that the president came the last trip he went. He came. And he came in the night and unannounced, because unlike before, when the planes were in good shape, you see the service chiefs and some top government functionaries will see him off. And of course, when his time coming, when he's coming back, the same scenario. But 2 trips traveled and he came, we heard that it was in whether it was in Dubai. Then from Dubai we heard that it's also he went to UK. From UK he went to France. And then the question is, where is the presidential fleet? Why is the information, considering the fact that we owe it a duty to have access to some of this information, but some of these things were shied away from the public? Now the question is, what is going on? Why is the #1 person in the country travel and came and there was no ceremony as it were? Yes, some person might want to say he's trying to cut costs or he's trying to, slim down exigency. But there again, if there are information or certain eventuality that has taken place, the public who have the right to know, because it is a public place. And of course, it's living a public life, because some of all these trips are not trips that he runs with his private funds. There are trades that has been budgeted for, allocations have been, it has been appropriated for, and of course, he owes a duty to deliver on his stewardship and open a kind of a platform of transparency, so that even if the opposition wants to talk, everybody will know that, look, this one is overshooting his boundary. But then again, it's within our right to actually
just go on a very short break. This is Society Watch on Atlantic Television Network. When we return, we'll look at the rest of the stories.
What you want to buy?
Potato. Small baskets.
I want plantain. But why your plantain can't hard like this? Why?
Madam, now the outside hard. Inside there, it is very soft.
Madam, wallahi make her no buy am. Make her show you something. What? What's in this one? Madam, this one now the chemical where they put on for the plantain make her ripe up.
So you dey put chemical for plantain where people go chop?
Now water, no be chemical.
Water. You know say Pela I don't talk and say water and not be enemy. Drink am.
Where you collect that water, drink am.
I just stop finish. See my belly. I found it don't big. I just stop drink water finish.
Wait, you drink am now. At the sell am plantain, I go come put am for chemical because I want to make a ripe go. That's why I talk now corruption. Corruption. Not be for this kaswa, come not be for this country. Now me take am.
Corruption not in my country.
This message is brought to you by the Akinfade Foundation, the MacArthur Foundation,
and with broadcast support from Atlantic Television.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Society Watch on Atlantic Television Network, and now the rest of our stories. Professor Moji Adeyeye, Director General of National Agency for Food and Administration and Control, NAFDAC, urged Nigerians not to store cooked food in refrigerators for more than 3 days to prevent contamination by disease-causing pathogens. This warning was issued in a statement commemorating the 2024 World Miss Eva Edwards highlighted the preventable nature of food diseases. I mean, one should not store food up to 3 days. In this our economy, are you supposed to be cooking every day? Is that woman very much aware that gas is very expensive? And even if you're using firewood, the smoke is not too good for health. So if you manage to cook food that will carry you for 1 week, you should finish it in 2 days because it is not good to put in the fridge. Let me hear, please.
So two angles to buttress your question, or that probably will collide. If the research has it that 600 million persons come down with varying health issues that is traceable to food contaminated, food arising from food storage and some other pathogens that support food contamination, then you begin to look out for the immediate solution, pattern, which of course is a public advice, and you share with me of air that some friends and relatives has actually, they've been down in the last couple of days. Don't be surprised. It could be the food formation and contamination, so the sourcing the source of food, and you also know that health in Lagos and in Ogun, somewhere in that corridor, cholera, and the kind of, and it has to do with. So when research are carried out and the aftermath effect of this research rolling out should be taken care of. And some of these things come along a few days ago, I think June 7th, World Food Safety Day was celebrated. And so for us, it's something that we must do. Whether you say the current economy or not, if you are still having a facility that you're able to store food in your fridge beyond that 3 days, it means that, well, you are doing well for yourself, implying that the heat of the downward trend of the economy has not apparently registered its full arrival in your home. But for those who probably don't even have that, they cook. The maximum is within 3 days, the soup is finished. And then the point is that even if you take 5,000, 10,000 to the market, what do you actually want to buy? So it's a call for us also, because if you heed this warning, what that does is that your medical bill will come down. Your frequency of visiting healthcare provider will also be limited down. Now, some of these things are very important so that the 600,000 or the 600 million persons who come down with various forms of illness traceable to food contamination can actually be reduced.
All right. This is a warning to everyone. According to the World Health Organization, contaminated food causes illness in 600 million people, and about 4,200 die annually. And according to what they are saying, that you shouldn't store food for over 3 days in the fridge. So for those of you that used to cook food for 1 month and keep in the fridge, I think it's high time you start giving it out. But again, in this our economy, gas is very expensive. Can you even afford to cook every day? But according to Mr. Welt, that is not the reason why information, there's a warning, shouldn't come. So don't cook food and store in the fridge for 3 days. When you cook your food, finish within 2 days. Well, kudos to those who do not have fridge, nowhere to store, you just have to eat it up. And for those who have fridge, be very careful, no more storing of food in the fridge. And then what is a fridge meant for? To store food for 2 days? A question that we should all answer. But again, be very careful, your health is very important. All right, the last story for today. Media personality Toke Makinwa criticized the practice of marking children with tribal marks without their consent, calling it a form of cruelty. In a series of posts on her X account, she reflected.
One can understand the level of the information that is available to her, because if we're to be the proponent of tribal marking, it was actually predated to the era of slave trade, and the marking, it was designed to help persons who carry this mark, or persons who identify this mark or know the meaning of this mark, to be able to trace back their roots, whether in the southern part of Africa or the northern part of Africa. These are thing that is a practice that has actually, being in place as a measure to help identify persons who probably has on account of slave trade, trafficking, just in case of any eventuality. So when you see that mark, you'll be able to help trace the roots or identify. And saying that some of them always look, I disagree. They don't look ugly. Some of them are so beautiful with their mark, even though it's an obstinate practice. I think in the early 19th century it was cut off. But there again, some tribes are very, very particular about it. And there are the extreme tribal marking, there are mild tribal marking. But the whole idea then, what necessitated the practice, which of course was as a result of slave trade, displaced people, during the era of wars and all that. So particularly in the southern part of southwest of Nigeria, and then the northern part of Nigeria, the northeast, northwest, they are very, very particular about the tribal marking.
So why are they still doing it till date?
It is a practice, as I said, that has been transferred from one generation to the other. Some years as a result of identity, as a result of the roots of the person, as a result of security and safety. Some have it as like in some royal bloods or some royal family, there's a particular mark that is only meant exclusively. When you go into the details and the study of tribal marking, you tend to understand some of these things, how it plays. But good enough for civilization, people have evolved. Some are still practicing because the level of, they are just particular about their tradition. But there again, the widespread has reduced. At least when you see certain marks, you know some meaning if you are very rooted in that area. There are some marks, it could be by the side of the face, some will be at the right, some will be right on top of your cheek, in between the nose. Yeah, it does have meaning. It does have meaning.
What about the ones they put?
They have the one. There are some so which they also give, particularly from the West. There are some that looks could be a medicinal approach for in those days, children who are converting.
Okay.
So, because in a bid to penetrate the blood, certain like some are even right at the back of your head come to the ear. Yes, some from the side of the head down to your cheek line. Those are each tribal marks has its meaning and it has.
But it's not all of them that has to do with health.
No, it's not all of them. It's not all of them. But most of them, there are some as a result of royal blood, royalty, a chieftaincy family. Some are also distinguished to also distinguish a particular set of people that they are not indigenous of that land, that they were outsider. So by reason of applying such could also distinguish them. So but good enough because of civilization and westernness, some of these things have been eroded or abolished. But there are some families that they still uphold it as a means of identity, as a means. Some could be family that is pronounced to be warriors, some are hunters, etc., etc.
But is it possible, because you can't possibly seek consent from a child?
Yes, you can. You live talking, as they always say, trying to identify with a movement. But basically, how can you seek a consent